Volendam was awaiting us at the Sydney International Shipping Terminal. We depart from Sydney at dusk on a beautiful autumn evening to sail 16,000 miles across the wide Pacific to reach Juneau 5 weeks later. Although capital of Alaska, a very large state, Juneau is quite a small city, quite compact, and accessible only by sea and air. There is no road access at all. Juneau began in 1880 with the discovery of gold. It then grew rapidly during the Klondike Gold Rush 17 years later. I guess the arrival of all these cruise ships is ensuring that gold keeps coming into town. The famous Red Dog Saloon should certainly get some of it. But frankly, our interest is more in the famous Juneau Icefield behind those mountains to see the astonishing Mendenhall Glacier. Marjorie was able to make a flight to the Mendenhall Glacier too, using the remarkable disabled person boarding device made by the helicopter crew. It was brilliant, and although she couldn't get off at the icefield, she was thrilled to be part of it all. She is carefully tucked on board, and here we go. Our flight path takes us along the western side of the channel, past the city centre where Volendam awaited our return. We had 3 helicopters travelling in convoy, the reason being that if one went down, the other was available to radio in for rescue help, or give direct help itself. We tracked past the most magnificent snow-capped mountains, and we then crossed the channel and head east into the mountains, with the Juneau Channel now on our right and looping away towards the east. We now head deeper into the mountains to get access to the Mendenhall Glacier and its huge ice field. We traversed over truly magnificent snow-capped mountains, and suddenly there was the huge mass of packed ice of the Mendenhall Glacier ahead of us. We quickly dropped down and flew along the actual face of the glacier, where it was slowly tumbling away and falling into an arm of the Juneau Channel. We then flew along it for some time to look at the amazing sight of the debris the melting ice was depositing to gradually silt up the waterway. In places, forests of quite advanced fir trees were growing in the silt, and more debris from the advancing glacier continued to block up the Juneau Channel. At least this dead-end arm of the channel was being turned into new land. We are now flying slow and low along the 3-mile width of the glacier at this point where it meets the sea, and where it is some 500 feet thick, and moving forward to tumble into the channel at a rate of more than 5 feet every day. The thicker ice we are now approaching has shapes which are quite bizarre, quite amazing. The dirty colour of the ice in the picture is of course ancient rock and tree debris contained within the ice, and are yet to be deposited in the channel to form this new land. With the start of the Mendenhall Glacier now some 100 miles back into the mountains, the debris dumped into the channel could be thousands of years old. The thicker ice we are now approaching has shapes which are quite bizarre, quite amazing, with the ice being stacked up and twisted as the glacier swings away towards the south. The blue colouring in the ice represents purer and probably newer ice from fresh snow cover which is frozen. Now it is time to swing back up the glacier and find a safe spot to land. And here we are. The 2 lead helicopters have landed, and we look around for a suitable place to put ours down. Not easy because much of the ice field is badly broken at this point. We need to find a spot to land on firm ice and not soft snow, which could be unsafe for the chopper and also for us to walk on, although we have spiked boots for the ice. Now, cut the motor and the turbine winds down. It had been a great flight all the way from Juneau to the glacier, but the passengers were keen to get out of the rather cramped cabin, but unfortunately poor Marjorie couldn't step down, although I was able to do so. One of the passengers were good enough to take a couple of stills and give shaky video shots for me.
There we go, perfect.
It was bitterly cold, but it was still a great opportunity to open the cabin door briefly so that Marjorie could have a good look. It was almost too cold to hold and operate the camera, yet it was worth every moment of it. And there was a little pond of just melted ice, and a delightful panorama across the glacier, all the way down to the Juneau Channel below. But suddenly it's all aboard and we're on our way. We're the second chopper off and we swing away towards the silted up arm of the Juneau Channel. And there were lots of real surprises ahead. First, we were surprised by the forests of quite advanced fir trees, growing in extensive areas of new land formed by sediments from the glacier. These were quite big trees with many years of growth behind them. And now we had at least to travel in a new direction, in a big loop around to get back to Juneau. We were quite astonished by the millions and millions of tons of debris to completely silt this dead-end arm of the Juneau Channel. These sediments were immense in area, and then as the camera swings to the left, we have a real surprise. The second arm of the Mendenhall Glacier, which we didn't know about, discharging masses of material into further extensions of this dead arm of the Juneau Channel. This arm of the glacier was even thicker than the one before, many hundreds of feet, probably thousands. The thickness and extent of this second arm of the Mendenhall Glacier became ever more evident as we headed inland for mile after mile over the glacier, towards the high mountain beyond, which of course we had to cross to get back to Juneau. With a Pathfinder chopper leading the way, our pilot seemed to be pretty confident about where we were going. Travelling this inland route back to Juneau allowed us to see much more of this vast Mendenhall Glacier, and more of the huge Juneau Icefield, which apparently covers hundreds of square miles. We had been remarkably fortunate to have such beautifully fine sunny weather, because the helicopters hadn't been able to fly for the past week when it had been raining. We travelled for mile after mile over these starkly beautiful snow-capped mountains. It was absolutely wonderful. It was just a little bit bumpy at times, making steady photography just a little bit difficult, but it was pure magic. Finally, we come over the mountains, and there below us lies the Juneau Channel again. With 3 helicopters heading for the same landing pad, our pilot had to be a bit cautious and looked around very carefully. After such a superb trip, we're almost sad to be landing. Back in Juneau, the town was shutting down for the night, and Volendam was making ready to head further north to Skagway overnight, and its farewell to Alaska's capital, snuggled below extinct volcano Mount Juneau above, with wonderful memories of the superb Mendenhall Glacier.